He has 5 career touchdowns and 13 interceptions in 233 passing attempts. It's going from bad to worse or bad. Welcome to Pigskin Passion TV. And it's your boy, the Black Mamba. It's season 2, episode number 95. And guys, we back. We back for fantasy football. And it's semifinal week, guys. Win or go home. And it was an easy week for your boy last week because I was on bye. All I did was just sit back and watch some football and kind of scout my opponents this week. And guys, it's time to do it. This is the week. This is what you do all these waiver wire pickups for these last 2 games. And guys, everything is set. I have a matchup with Satan's left nut. He had the 4th seed in my league, and it works out where the top 4 teams are actually in the semifinals. This is wild. This is one of the first seasons this has ever happened in this league. So 1 plays number 4 and 2 plays number 3. So it should be some good matchups this week. And let me give you some waiver wire pickups for this week. By this time, guys, it's probably not much out there on the waiver wire. Your team is either made or not, but there are some good pickups this week for your playoff push. And I'm actually going to try to pick up a couple of guys that I'm going to give you today. So let's start with quarterback. And at the quarterback position is Mr. Aaron Rodgers. He had a good week last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He completed 16 of 30 passes for 289 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns. And he hasn't been nowhere near the Aaron Rodgers that we know, but he showed some flashes last week. This week, I think he makes a good 1-week rental if you need a quarterback. And I probably would bench him after that because next week they have the Buffalo Bills. So it probably won't be a good matchup for him that week. And at running back, I'm actually going to go out and try and get this guy. There's only one person in the playoffs who could outbid me for this guy. And if he does, I won't be mad at it as long as it's not my opponent. But this is Jerome Ford. He could be a missing piece for your playoff team. And my running back position hasn't been strong all year. So I think I'm going to just go out and pick him and plug him as a flex. Nick Chubb is out for the season. Last week, he had a pretty decent week. Jerome, that is. He had 104 yards for 1 touchdown. And I think this week's matchup is going to be a pretty good matchup for him as well, playing the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals defense hasn't been good this year, and they can be ran on. So I look for him to have a good week this week as well. If you can't get Jerome Ford and you still need a running back, these next 2 guys are not going to be atop anyone's list, but I think they'll be serviceable. And the first guy is Alexander Madison with the Las Vegas Raiders. Sincere McCormick got hurt last week, and it sounds like he's going to be out at least this week. And I know Madison's not a sexy pickup, but if you're in a pickle, I think it'd be worth rolling the dice. And at least he's going to be the lead back against a bad Jacksonville defense this week. And I looked up their numbers, and Jacksonville, that is, they've given up the 3rd most PPR points against running backs in fantasy this year. Even though Madison's not effective and he hasn't been efficient, I think he'll get the volume and he may do a little better than what his numbers look like this year. Another guy, if you don't feel comfortable getting Madison, would be Kendre Miller. Alvin Kamara got hurt last week, and if he misses time, Miller's going to be your number 1 guy. He doesn't have any competition. His only problem is he hasn't been able to stay healthy since he's been in the league. But this week is going to be a neutral matchup for him against the Green Bay Packers. But I think the most attractive if you want to look ahead to your championship game, if you're able to make it, I think that would be the matchup. They're going to play the Las Vegas Raiders. So Kendre Miller is a pickup, not for this game, I would say, but definitely for your championship game. And at wide receiver, Jalen McMillan with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As of last week, he was still available in most leagues, and he had a 5-catch, 75-yard touchdown game, and I think he could help your team out over these next 2 games. There are positive matchups for him with the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. And at the old dreaded tight end position, Brenton Strange with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He replaced Evan Ingram, who I had and did absolutely nothing for me while I had him in the lineup. But he replaced Evan Ingram, who had a monster week, and he caught 11 passes for 73 yards. So that's a little rare for a tight end to get that many targets. But if he's going to get those kind of targets, even half of those kind of targets, I think he could be worth picking up to help you in your playoff stretch. And as always, guys, streaming defenses. A couple of weeks ago, I told you guys that I was going to pick up Buffalo for this week. Went out there and got them, and I do like them as my defense for this week. But another couple of defenses, if Buffalo is not available for you, is the Atlanta Falcons versus the New York Giants. And guys, the Giants quarterback situation is just in shambles. Drew Lock has a heel injury, and Tommy DeVito is under concussion protocol. So if neither one of those guys can start, then you're looking at Tim Boyle. And he has 5 career touchdowns and 13 interceptions in 233 passing attempts. It's going from bad to worse or bad. And the offense is averaging 13 points a game in the last 4 games. The offensive line, they've given up over 3 sacks per game in the last few games. And the Falcons, they sacked Desmond Ridder 3 times and intercepted 2 of his passes. And I don't see any reason why they can't duplicate that this week. If for some reason the Falcons aren't available, another team I would focus on would be the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals had one of their best defensive performances last week against the Tennessee Titans. They intercepted Will Levis 4 times, and he ended up getting benched behind that before the game ended. And this week they have a backup in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who has 7 interceptions in 146 attempts. So that sounds like a turnover machine. And they've given up 4 sacks per game in the last 3 games. So I like the Cincinnati Bengals if you have them available to get. So this week, guys, I have left nut, and this should be a really good matchup because he has Josh Allen and I have Joe Houdini Burrow. And I'm going to make a few changes in my lineup this week. Jamar Gibbs, he should get more carries with David Montgomery being out for the season. So he should have more usage this week. Najee Harris, man, I'm really on the fence, but I'm kind of in a pickle. I may have to go ahead and play him. Jayden Waddle, I'm probably going to put him on the bench and insert Christian Watson. And if I'm able to get Jerome Ford, I'll use him as his flex position. I don't really like Jerry Jeudy as a pass catcher with a guy who can't get him the ball. So Jerry Jeudy's probably going to go to the bench in place of Christian Watson, replacing Jayden Waddle, and I'll use a running back as my flex. I'm not sure about the kicker, Jake Elliott, but I may see if there's any better kickers out there this week. But this should be a pretty tight game here, guys. I don't see a real advantage in any of the positions. We both have studs at every position, so it's just a matter of which team scores touchdowns, I guess. Like, hopefully my guys can get touchdowns and yardage in addition to the touchdowns. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully next week your boy Black Mamba comes back and we're in the finals. But good luck to all you guys who are playing in your semifinal game this week, and we'll do it again next week. But do me a favor before I go. Spike that like, comment, subscribe, and it's your boy, the Black Mamba, out.